are really streaming. Anybody know what that song is? Afternoon, David. Afternoon, Robert. Storm those strings, strum, I think you meant. Bobby retracted his message, which Bobby does pretty frequently. Attaway Girls in with us again. Glenn, afternoon. And AZ Gold Hunter, happy Fridays. Bobby's back again. Hello. He's back. And Joshua Carter's with us. So, this song here. It's Blind Willie Johnson, actually. So, greetings from Asbury Park, which is also the name of the Bruce Springsteen album. So, we're getting started there. I don't know if anybody will know what song that is, right? So, it's only 500 songs that do the same chord progression, right? Tough with the desk here with the guitar. That one was for you, Bobby. Definitely. Don't you want to go? They might be putting it out there now saying, I don't know if I'm disconnecting and reconnecting. Trevor came in, we looked at it. Thought everything was working well. We had the bugs out. There was an update we did. So somebody text right now to say, hey, we're back up. Everything's running fine. Because I do not know if I'm not seeing any update on the chat. Okay, someone's clapping. Anyways. How do you know it? Playing the old way, old blues. So, Blind Willie Johnson, nobody's fault but mine. Everybody mainly remembers the Zeppelin version of that. Which is very different. The lyrics are even very different because the original is, I got a daddy who can preach and a mama has a Bible, or my mama prays, and then doesn't have the monkey on the back and all that stuff. Zeppelin changed the lyrics, which allowed them to do their own copyright with Blind Willie Johnson, I guess. So there you go. So there we are. We must be up and everything running because everybody's kind of jumping in. The other one for Bobby there was Sweet Home Chicago. If you want to go back to that same old place, Sweet Home Chicago. Which I think Bobby's here. I don't know if Bobby's here, if Bobby's there. Or if he's somewhere in between. Bobby just pops up. So, anyways, we are out here in the Sonoran Desert. And it says 110 degrees with the relative humidity. It says it's a cool, mild 114. That's what it feels like. The winds are about 7 miles per hour out of the west southwest, west southwest. And we've had no rainfall. It's rained a couple times, nothing measurable. So it rains just to raise the humidity up to 30-40%, and then it just gets miserable, and that's it. So we're not getting any rain. I'm Wayne Tuttle. Songs to this. Oh, should I stay or should I go? We don't do requests. See, that's how you keep me from to not play the guitar. It's all in the hellhole of Illinois. I'm still in the hellhole of Illinois. Still in the hellhole. I don't even know how to fit that into the song. Sweet Home Chicago. All right. Anyways, Lost mean hold mountain to the in the mountain. So, anyways, this week I kind of went back to the roots and was, hey Dallas, how's it going? And was just playing a bunch of Blind Willie Johnson and a bunch of Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and stuff like that, having a good old time. So pretty much working out the guitar and wearing Trevor's ears out in the room whenever I was sitting in here, because he's back behind me. Well, not right now, but he'd be behind me editing, and I just start launching off songs. Another one I really like to do is So Much Trouble by I'm trying to remember, Sonny Boy Williamson. So he's a bit annoyed with that. And more annoying is that I take the capo out and I change the key and keep trying to sing it in different keys, because trying to see where my voice works best. And which it's just easier just to keep it in one key and let your voice get used to it and stick in it. But yeah, I think I've annoyed him to the point where he went and laid down today. So good copy, and we get there. Buffered a couple times. Yeah, so I don't know what the buffering is. I know there's a nationwide kind of problem, outages with the internet and stuff, so hopefully it doesn't affect us today. And yes, Attaway Girl, I will take the compliment. I just don't think it was beautiful today. The tone might be great. I'll have to listen back to it. So, but I don't know. So I don't know if it really sounds like good. Bang goes the guitar. But I appreciate the compliments. So, is everyone enjoying the heat? No, I'm not. Why would I enjoy the heat? I did note it was like we're more than halfway through the year. So I was looking at the days and how many days we have left for the heat. October 25th, 26th, 27th, the Dutch on a rendezvous. So hopefully things will cool down by then. Finally got some rain here in North Carolina. Well, good for you. I'm not going to say send it here, because the weather doesn't travel from east to west in this world or this dimension. Hey, Wayne, have you ever listened to Ryan Adams and the Cardinals? No, Ryan is not Brian. Okay, really dig Ryan Adams and the Cardinals. Please check. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Tone is exceptionally good. It's a good guitar, though. It has a good tone. Have you went out in the mountains lately? No. It's too freaking hot. So, and someone just had to be rescued again today. I don't understand the people that go out early in the morning and think that's okay. I learned my lesson. We did a video and I talked about it, and I've talked about it. And I kind of decided that's not going to be my thing. So, see, I can't do Friday Lives. I wouldn't be able to do those other things if I was dead. So, there. Go Gold prospecting in San Antonio, Texas, where every day is a golden day. This week, prospecting northwest Utah mountains. The view is spectacular. There you go. Thank you, Sky Cloud. Regarding the Whedon Walker map, same Simsili. Okay. Has Walker and Whedon down as upstanding, honorable. They wouldn't tell. Well, they all say that. I see an internal. Whedon was no bullshitter. Yeah, I think they all were bullshitters. I think there's a letter from one of the sheriffs say what an upstanding, wonderful, respectable, honest man that Dick Holmes was as well. Yeah, well, why not find somebody to write? I'm sure I could get a couple people to write that bullshit about me too. Um, I don't know. I think Ely's reference comes from the Bark Notes, because in the Bark Notes, I think Jim Bark refers. He didn't get along. I think it was with Whedon. I think Bark didn't get along with him for a long time, and then they finally kind of made up and stuff. We'll have to get to that sometime and cover that. But obviously, none of us knew them personally, and that's one of the problems with dealing with stuff over 100 and some odd years ago, is that you're always dealing with what people are saying about people, and you don't really know what they were like. I mean, it's your perception. Like, people tend to say, "Well, I met so and so, and he's a dick," and that does tend to happen in life, because you find there's different sides of people. There's people that I would have been like, "Oh, it'd be great to meet him. It'd be really cool. This guy would be really interesting. I'd love to do something on a show with this person." And then I found out from the people that work with them that they're a bit Jekyll and Hyde. And we all can be. I mean, we all have our bad days. But then I find out, there's sometimes some serious issues with things. One of the nice things, and one of the reasons I avoid a lot of things that get offered my way, is I learn more and more about what people are like, and I learn from the crews. Because the people that operate the cameras and run the audio, and those people generally give you a really good feel for what people are like. And I kind of tend to hear certain things about people, and then I go, okay, I just, and sometimes, it's all for naught, because there's people that I've heard, and then from what I've seen, and then I meet them and sit around and talk. And I think I talked about Talk, who does a lot of stuff for History Channel. He's a professor out of USC, and he's a pretty cool dude. We were kind of like looking at each other, and I remember it was kind of like we ended up sitting having lunch and sharing our love of Buckethead, the guitarist, and we had some really cool conversation. We had a really good time together, and so I would say, he's more from the academia side. So he kind of wasn't sure of me, but he's also from the UFO cryptids kind of thing. So there's a little different thing. You can see where we would really kind of butt heads. Cool that I got the mic in here, and I hope everybody's hearing it good today. I was seeing a little bit trunk. I don't get trunk. My trunk. Okay, my new phone shut down for no reason, but I'm back. There you go. Lead belly. Bad to the bone. I'm in North Florida. A huge lightning storm affecting our connection. That's a cool thing about Florida. Everybody always thinks about Southern rock, and you're thinking of the South. You're thinking, you got Texas blues, but you think, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, right? Louisiana, and those type of places. Almost all the Southern bands came out of Northern Florida. Just crazy when you think about it, right? So many of them are attached to Northern Florida. I think that's Allman Brothers and Skinner and Blackfoot and Molly Hatchet. I think all these groups came out of that, same area. So it's kind of crazy. Clay Worst knew Brownie Holmes, but he didn't know him. Clay said he met Herman once. He shook his hand once. He met him. He really didn't talk to him. He wished he would have spent time with Herman. But Clay was kind of focused on certain things, and I don't think it had anything to do with Brownie. I think it was when he was probably back in there with Chuck Ayler or someone like that. But he met Herman, and it might have been before Chuck. I shouldn't put words in Clay's mouth. But Clay did meet Herman. He said he shook his hand and spoke briefly with him. Other than that, he didn't. Tom knew Herman Petrash. His dad was friends with Herman and partners with Herman. Clay just met him the one time. And then Brownie, I know he was friends with Clay for a number of years before he died. So they got along really well. I think Brownie became friends with quite a number of people towards the end. So, but that was the popularity of Dutch hunting too. Once, I think the book, I can't remember the name of the book, but there was a book that came out and kind of talked a little bit of the Dick Holmes stuff and all. And Brownie got a little more prominent before that, unless you were a really vested
known Dutch hunter and done a lot of research. Remember, there wasn't an archives, wasn't a museum, there wasn't a ton of books, and if you go through a lot of these books, there wasn't much on Brownie Holmes or Dick Holmes. So it was later. Hey, Jax, you got to be careful. There's a guitar there. No. Great. There's a guitar there. I just said that. Everybody heard me say that, and then you just ignored it. I was gifted an autographed copy of Thunder God's Gold addressed to Sheriff Lynn Early. Do you know Sheriff Early or did any searching for the mine? No, I don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of people had vested interest in doing that. And, they would meet people. If you were a county sheriff or someone, and definitely it was during that time period, Storm would have assigned books for people and whoever he could. I mean, he was good at, marketing himself. So that would have been one of the ways to do so. Come on, if you write a book and someone asks you to sign it, even if it is the county sheriff. But no, Storm was good at promoting and the propaganda of his own story and whatnot and all that. But that's a very cool thing. Yeah, because it kind of has that whole thing. So an autographed copy addressed to, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's definitely cool. And what you want to do with some of those, what I do with a few of mine, is sometimes they from the library of someone, and I find out who it is. I put a little note card in of a little bio of the person, so that no matter what down the line, even if the book gets given away or handed away or whatnot, someone understands kind of like the history of the book and so forth. Because I got a few of those that people used to have the stamps they put in there, what do they call them, imprints, but the book imprint from their library so they could get their books back. And I got a number of those. So some of them are autographed and then they come from personal libraries. So that's always cool. So good for you. Good one there. Okay, we got through the Walker Whedon. I do recall you mentioning the Dutch hunters have the original of the tracing. The only two original maps I know of specifically that were around was the Hank de Andrea map, which came through Hank and them and Barry Storm and so forth, and then the Frank Fish map. That's the only two original tracings I know of any map. Everything else you can't verify if it's real, is what I would say. I was going to say, have you ever heard of Buckethead? Yes, I'm a very big fan of Buckethead and all 700-800 of his albums, EPs, and whatnot. No, so Brian Carroll. I don't think we're supposed to say his name. But, yeah, I'm a big fan of Brian Carroll's. He's the big guy. He's about 6'6". Has long curly hair. Wears a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket on his head. And, like, what is it? Michael Myers mask on his face, and he plays guitar. Generally people think of him as a speed metal guitarist, but he's a very, very, very gifted guitarist in almost any genre that you'd like. And he also plays incredible slap bass. So he also does nunchucks and hands out toys at his concerts. But he's an unusual but very gifted individual. Incredibly fast, but a very, very talented guitarist as well. I live on the west of Jacksonville. Yeah, that's the area. Literally a street half from the Van Zants. It's a museum now. Okay. And across the street is the Dixie. Okay. And Wayne, why did they hide gold bars at Ghost Town? I don't know. I don't know if they produced that many gold bars at the Ghost Town. Most of the stuff, I don't know if that was where they were going to process it. I would think it was shipped out. That's a good question for Shoes, because I don't know if they were processing or making gold bars at Goldfield or from the Bulldog or the Black Queen or any of those mines. I know there's been some gold from those mines made into coins and stuff, but I would think most of it was the gold was broke down and then it was shipped out. And if there were bars or anything made from it. Now, I know Silver King, there was some, and some other areas where there were gold bars made and then they were transported and there was robberies, but I wouldn't know of any gold bars at the ghost town that went missing or disappeared there. So we'll have to ask him. He would probably, he wrote a great book on the history of Goldfield, Boomtown to Bust. Goldfield Ghost Town, Boomtown to Bust by Robert Schuss. And I picked that up. It's probably in there, but I wouldn't think that would have been a normal, regular thing for them. I worked car wash in high school. No, still in Florida again. And 38 Specials lead singer Donnie Van Zant, one of the Van Zant brothers, along with Johnny and Ronnie. And literally every week, we bring the wife's car and get it. So, yeah, that's what happens in those towns. Hey, Dale. And greetings for Prescott. And was Charlie Turner's spot in West Boulder on an adjacent wash close to where Boulder Creek exactly is. Great story. From what I was told, is you go down and you would be going down from Chuck's house and going south, and on the right would be where the camp would be elevated. If I had, the guy told me about how many steps or anything, I don't know anymore because I don't remember and I didn't have anything written down. I searched where I thought it would be, and I went up to a few because I figured it has to be an elevator, there has to be a flat or something there, and it would have a view. And I kind of went up higher than I thought and kind of looked down, and I made several trips just kind of looking through the area, and I couldn't find anything. And then I scanned the other side, but at that point I was realizing the story he was telling me, it had been so long, and Boulder Creek had run so heavy at times that spot, who knows if it's anything like it was. So I did go along that side, but see, at that point in time, I did not prospect well. I had a couple pans, but I probably didn't know what I was doing. And I messed around, but I didn't find anything. Now, the person before me didn't find anything either. So is it still there? I think that's going to be probably a follow-up for Chasing Legends is this fall, winter. Go out there and look at a couple of the spots and kind of look. It'd be cool to find the CT, but it would be even cooler to find the spot, find a little gold. I don't know why I keep pinging out red on the mic. I don't know if I'm too close or what's happening there, because I'm sitting here talking and then I suddenly see it ping red and hold red for a minute. Do you think Ted DeGrazia knew the location of Lost Dutch Mine? No, I don't think Ted knew. And if he did, he wouldn't have cared, because I think Ted was as much into being Ted and his thing. I think once, and I always got this feeling, and I could be wrong, but I always think when it came to DeGrazia, is once he came to a certain stature, he kind of like marketed and did what he did, and he was able to afford his whiskey or his bourbon, and he was able to kind of like enjoy the life he wanted to enjoy the way he wanted to enjoy it. And I don't think he really cared. So I think he tried to find ways to entertain and be creative, but I think he was probably really interested in the stories of the Lost Dutchman and searching for it originally. I think it was maybe less so later. I think, there's a time and place where you just start enjoying the journey and you quit, you don't realize it, but you quit kind of the search to some degree. And I think that happens with some people, is not all people, but some people will continue to search the mountains like a dog, but you realize they're not really searching the mountains, they're just on a journey. And I don't think they realize it themselves. I've met a few of those people where it's just everything changes and you realize if they found it, they might just like ignore it because they don't really want to find it. They want to just continue on their journey. No remote far finding spots. I don't understand what that means. Let's drink to Bob Ward. Here, one to Bob Ward. Bob Ward agrees with that sentiment. So we did the, and then we have the channel on Facebook, Superstition Mountain Treasures, and there's an administrative group with that. And I'm one of the admins there. And I posted a bunch of stuff there, some pictures and stuff. It was funny because there was one at Bob Ward's cabin, and it's Tom Collenborn, Bob Corbin, and Bob Ward sitting there. And people struggled. Were able to figure out Tom Collenborn, but then they struggled, and finally someone got Bob Ward, but nobody's getting Corbin, you know. The 5'2" guy with, you know, bald guy. It's like, I thought he'd be the one that would be easiest to figure out. I like the light along the ceiling wall. That's Trevor's LED light system. I really want to put in cans up in the ceiling that would illuminate one in front of me and give us better lighting in the room. I haven't gotten to it. This was when he finished up, what do they call it? God, I can't remember what they call that section. Their mascot's a Bigfoot. South Village at NAU. He had these in his room, and when he finished there, he took everything down. He brought it here, and I came in here one day, and they were out there. They turn colors. They go yellow, red, you know, do different things. But I keep them on. I think this is supposed to be blue. Anyways, they've been here ever since. They give you a little ambient lighting. They're not enough to really work by or anything. But that was Trevor's doing. He put those up. And, yeah, they kind of do that weird thing because they go up that corner and then they go around the whole perimeter of the room. So, the weird part is on camera they have a glare to them. Here they're just a bunch of little blue dots everywhere. I just finished mowing. I do that a lot. I'll drink to anybody. There you go. Yeah, this has been miserable, the mowing part of things and stuff. So, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. That was the dog, man. He pinged the mic with that. Wow. So, we'll choke out of Jack's. So anyways, been a busy week. One thing I want to talk about, besides the rendezvous, the 25th, 26th, and 27th, anyone interested in involving themselves in some capacity, it's the 20th anniversary, and I'm lining things up. We had this weird thing happen. So we have videos, and there's the Legend of the Superstition Mountain videos, there's the archive videos, and then there's Chasing Legends, and then there's live. So there's different programs built in. And the biggest ones are the legend ones. They can be up over 100,000. They generally do very, very well. And that's those episodic ones. The last ones we did from a year or so ago, we were at the Spiral Staircase. Everybody remembers that. If you haven't, we run 12 of those. We run them either for 12 weeks or alternate weeks for 24 weeks. Anyways, that's the legend thing. We do one every, once we feel enough material, we put 12 together and release those. And we haven't finished what we were going to do with the next group, but we probably will do 12. We got 2 or 3 or 4 already done, and we'll see what we come in with this fall, what we put together. Anyhow, so Chasing Legends is about 1,000 a week, 1,500, and then the biggest one we had was the Mogollon Monster one, which was around 9,000 or 10,000. And then there was a couple others underneath it. So I was like, okay, that's what they do. But our highest video is about 150,000. We've had 2 million views. So I'm like, okay, organically it's done what it's supposed to do. We've never put a dime in it. There's no bots, which I always bring up. Always be important to understand the unrealness of YouTube. And then the last 2 weeks, the one we did on the Lizard People, the Superstition Mountains, is currently today at 103,000. It's our 4th most viewed video of all time. It's past everything, just blown everything into the dirt. It has the most comments by far. It's well over 600 comments, and it just blew up. Now, if you look at it, you'll see if you go in the rankings like most popular under our videos, it shows up like 8 or 9. But that's because it's YouTube goes by watch time. And all the other videos are like 45 minutes to an hour long. It's only a 20-minute video, so because it's got to have a much less of a view time, average view time, it's going to drop in the rankings. So it's the fourth most viewed video we have, but it's like 7 or 8 in watch time. Pretty amazing though that in a couple weeks it jumped from 6,000 or 7,000 to 103,000. I'm not like we're going crazy, but it put in that thing of me and Frank deciding, I guess we're going to go lizard hunting this fall. So we will be going out to I'm trying to make some contacts. Not what you think context, but context to get more context to the story, and then go out and talk about the story as kind of a follow-up because it's so popular. Not that we're going to go all super paranormal and walk around with tinfoil on our heads and going beep, 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 beep. But more or less saying, well, the video was very popular. A lot of people are interested and want to know about the stories. So I'm trying to kind of go more, investigate it more to see what else I can find. Because there were several people reached out and said they knew who some of these people were. So I want to do that. Okay. Did you go out to the cabin one time and actually found a whole... Yeah, I got a whole whiskey bottle in my garage from there. Yeah, we did a few videos out there. We went out there a number of times. That was one of Frank's favorite places to metal detect because we were told by one of Bob's nephews that there were a number of jars of coins that he hid out there. That's when we found the coins. We were real excited. We thought that could be one of Ward's buried coins. You gotta remember, Bob didn't go to the bank. He was burying crap. And I know he buried rifles and he buried pistols he acquired, and there was a lot of weird stuff that could be out there. And we spent a lot of time out there trying to determine, is any of it true, or is just people like to talk? And what was funny is we never really could confirm or deny anything that much. And then once after the park was built and they did the road, that's when we found the glass of the coins. So we're able to say, yeah, it was. We never ran into them. But then who knows how far they were walking around. Now, the nephew was supposed to go out with Frank and myself and see if he could remember some of the areas, how far he'd walked off and stuff. But he never made it. And I know he's still around. So, but yeah, he'd been out to the rendezvous and stuff. Frank and Woody are doing just fine. Talked to Frank earlier in the week. Take a spectrometer and look for... Oh, yeah, okay. You're going to find that. It's a communications frequency. Don't, you know... All right, Jason. Remember, there's a thing called television. And I have friends, as far as Skinwalker's concerned, and I watch Skinwalker every week. And I don't mind talking about it. And I like a lot of things they do because it's where my head would go. When they start drilling down and pumping up something too much, that's when the moment you step back and go, it's a television show. And yeah, so there is a little problem with... It's always the 1.6, the 1.6 when it's, it's like, okay, whatever, guys. I always am more interested in them looking They never really do much geological. They go, ooh, what's this? Geological core samples would be interesting. I know there was a lot of Native American artifacts found by the people from the guy before. The group that was in there before, one of the guys detailed and talked that he really was interested in the Native American side of things, and nobody took him very serious on that. And if you ever get into the serious end of it, and some of the people that were out there during the Bigelow era, a lot of times there was just 2 security guards on watches, and those guys were out there by themselves, and they were told to call someone if something happened. There wasn't like these 20, 30 scientists out there. They just had guys out there who would take pictures and watch and note things. And if it seemed like things would amp up or there'd be something, then they would bring some people out to check what they'd seen or what they got reaction to. But one of the guys talked very very, very long, have been significantly about a lot of Native American artifacts and stuff he found all over the property. And he wondered if that had something to do with it. There's some interesting other bylines and stories. I'm disappointed that they don't investigate or pull from that more. They tend to kind of like, and then they go, and something I always hate is when they go you don't know science, so we're going to teach you our thought process of science, which isn't really. The rest of us would be doing a little more excavating. Man, me and Shoes would have a big hole opened up in the side of that thing. And I know they don't own the whole ridge, but there's a lot could be said and done, and it just is. It's, but yeah, if you want the frequency, you might as well just take your phone or any spirit box and say, "Ooh, look at all the fun stuff it's saying to me." Well, it's got a library and it's going to pick those words. Now it's picking them at random, but I don't know how much suggestion's involved. I've played with those a lot to see how well you can suggest to get them to do certain things, and they will. They have a library. And the guys, if you ever watch a Ghost Hunter show, once in a blue moon they'll mess up, and one of the guys will say, "Yeah, I wonder if we should put our names in the library in the device." That's funny. Okay, take a guy has connections. Frank talked about the nails he finds. Yeah, Frank finds a lot of nails. Well, there's a difference between, I always look at it as in Arizona, everything comes to the surface from rainstorms and stuff. Stuff doesn't go deep. It always comes to the surface. It's always partially buried, or it's very shallow. And in the case of the coins, it was just something was on the surface, and I kind of saw it, and I thought it was a quarter. So a lot more times Frank will admit. Now, where he was from in Pennsylvania and so forth, stuff goes down, and because of the seasonal, the seasons that pass and leaves and debris, over 100 years, there's a buildup over top of that. In the desert, everything, it takes thousands of years for things to become buried. So chances are most everything is going to be somewhere near the surface. Take a guy that has connections. I don't know what we're taking where. Yeah, those LED lights look like on the walls separating from the ceiling. What? The Hellraiser films. Okay. Don't buy into the Skinwalker shit. Aptly said there, Bobby. So, there is places that have unusual things, but like I said, we went out, and that was one of the things we did, was look at things, and we didn't thoroughly do it on the videos we did, but that was one of the things I wanted to do. And unfortunately, is when we did a lot of what we did, I wanted to do more of a tutorial. This is what this is. This is what this is producing. This is why it's producing this. And not really debunk the shows, but point out to people, this is the actual applied science, what we're talking about. And you can gimmick things to do things and, whatnot. The problem is, when we did the cameras and we did EVPs and did a lot of stuff, which was not the stuff at the rendezvous, it was stuff we did before this with night vision cameras and stuff. It was so boring. It was hard to really put something together even for 45 minutes to an hour, because nothing happened, and we were trying to get. That was where we came up with the idea of get a paranormal group to ghost with us, so we would both collect information. We could switch SD cards and see what we both came up. Because if I'm on, let's face it this way: all the guys are basically going into SD cards and stuff, and basically figure it's a Zoom, right? So you're sitting there on your Zoom, on your microphone or whatever, and it's going in inside out. And they're doing an EVP session on a Zoom, basically, or a digital recorder, whatever brand they're running. Well, a lot of them are Zooms. So anyways, they're holding that thing. And all you have to wonder is, everything they're wearing, they're all mic'd up. It's the same function, so it should come through every device there. It's not, why would it specifically come through this Zoom? And that's why you never see them carry two, because that would take sort of the fun out of it. So, and then if you ever notice also, one of the guys I was dealing with, they turn that stuff up so loud that it's ridiculous. It's, I don't know. So there we go. Okay, not to take, but I wanted to do that so people would understand and realize this is television, this is entertainment. Now there's people out there doing it low budget, goofy, and making it look absolutely ridiculous. And that's what happens. There's been several groups this last year that went out and are just a bunch of jackasses. Well, they're basically jackass with crappy equipment. And they go out and play it up and stuff. And we wanted to do something and say, okay, we can say we're skeptics, but we're going to just do things honest and then just try to provoke, taunt, or make fun of it. Hey, man, you know, what are you hanging around here for? And that was kind of the idea behind it. But we ended up with, how do you put this together? Because we wanted to do 2-3 episodes of it. And then I realized, we don't have anything. It's like, what we have is us going around looking at stuff, doing our normal thing. But that side of it, I would have to gimmick it and do the TV route, and I didn't want to do that. So we still want to go out and do stuff, and then do more of a tutorial explaining it as we're doing it. So people, because there's nothing wrong with educating people. I mean, maybe we don't get 100 million views, but at least we're honest. All right, so now I got to catch up. Have a software-defined radio, we can measure it. Anyone ever followed the Penkin Green Spring? I know there was a big discussion about it years ago. I'm going to turn the mic a little, because as I go over to the right, I'm probably fading off. I know there's a big discussion a year ago. The Green Spring Penkins. I see Skinwalker at 7-Eleven late night. There's a lot of Skinwalkers out there. Hey, Wayne and everyone, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Ever read the book, The Earthlight Theory? Talks about natural plasma lightning and not always aliens. Yes, I've read a lot about that. And there's a lot of cool stuff. Electricity is cool. Energy is cool. There's a reason guys like Carl Sagan and those kind of guys wrote books and didn't really believe in aliens and extraterrestrials visiting the Earth, and were quite different than people expected from the sci-fi deal. And a lot of that was because they realized there's a lot cooler stuff that we don't understand than the elves and dwarves and dragons and weird stuff that other people talk about. There's some really cool stuff. One of the things we're going to do, I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want anyone else to steal our idea, so I'm going to save it. But there's something we are going to do to put a lot of it to test, because that's what I want to do. I want to go out there and not just be a jackass about it, but I want to go out, provoke, and say, okay, you say this, we will put that. We will put that to the test, and that'll be, I think it'll be cool when people see some of what we're doing. People are going to go, hey, yeah, why don't they do that? I dig the rocket stuff, because when I was a kid, remember we used to all get those rocket sets from Walgreens or Kmart. We used to take them out with our friends and shoot them off in the fields. I dug that crap. So them shooting off them rockets is really cool, and I like that. And they got the little payloads and stuff. But come on. Everything should be affected. I mean, someone said, what was it? Someone said somewhere, and I know it's been people have talked about how the TV show says sometimes the show is messed up because of the problems. Well, it seems like when the most weird stuff happens, that and all the cameras and the audio and everything else works really well. Because, if it affected all that stuff, it wouldn't be much of a show. So, there you go. Enjoy the show for what it is. There you go. And that's what I do, because I like watching it. You have to remember, Travis Taylor, before all that, used to be on Oak Island. So he used to bounce around other shows. And when you say his reputation is at stake, is a serious, okay, yeah, he was on Oak Island before too, with a couple theories. So unfortunately, they reuse us all because they can't find anybody prettier than me and Travis and Scott Walter. Well, I don't mind making a fool of myself. It's fun and entertaining, and you guys and people understand it's meant to be entertaining. One of the reasons the Rendezvous stuff with Jack Tucker filmed some of it and all, but if you would have seen it all, it was me just at a certain point realizing this is going nowhere and this is just BS and bunk. And one of the things that happened in all that was Trevor and I decided not to use anything because we basically looked at it as it's just kind of us goofing because nothing really was happening and nothing. We could edit it to make it sound good, but for the most part, it made no sense. And it was me mocking the whole thing of saying, this makes no sense. Why are we doing? Go over here. Yes, go there. It just, if you talk long enough and it answers you enough time out of the library, you can put enough together to make sense. So, enough of that stupid, silly stuff. Did you find any silver at Fish Creek? Yes. On the north side of Fish Creek, down at the base of Horse Mesa, we were finding bits and pieces of silver. Frank believes there was a vein up above there, and they were chipping out low-grade silver from there. He was able to find somewhere they were breaking it up. I don't know how much they were getting. It was obviously enough for them to prospect and mine it. There wasn't a mine. It was a vein, a surface vein, and they seemed to work that. I was surprised, even though there's a lot of different mineralization. The mineralization on the north side of that area, Fish Creek, and the south side are just so absolute different. I was puzzled because you would, but the caldera and everything and the way everything broke, it's just so different. That stuff was so loose. It was like the song Slip Sliding Away comes to mind because remember I'm doing that video and I fell off that hill. I went down easily 25-30 yards head over heels. I mean, and I told Trevor, use the camera, let's use that, that'll be so cool. And it looks stupid because I ducked and curled as I fell and rolled down the hill, and I just decided, well, there's nothing really too obstructive. There was a few small plants and a few big rocks, nothing boulder size, so I just tucked the phone in. Well, it just looks dumb when you look at the video and hear me going and then I stop, and then, so we just picked it up from where, and I stood up, and after I fell, and then the blood's all coming down my arms, and I was all ripped up. So, because he said, yeah, that stuff looks stupid. It's better just to show what happened to you. Do you think that the great earthquake, no, I don't think it did, because if you're in the superstitions, anyone that spent any significant time in the superstitions and looks at the balanced rocks, the hoodoos and other things, and there's things that where we could take a floor jack and tip the boulder over. The fact that them boulders are still sitting there, the earthquake couldn't have done that much. The last time something significantly in those mountains really did happen was back probably before there was anybody on two legs in the area. It was probably after the volcanoes and so forth and all that. It's just, I don't buy it. There's too many things precariously balanced through the mountains that I've looked at and all, and I've always tried to take that into account and say, man, I'm up here, and this boulder's here, and this rocks are here, and how did it survive being up here above everything else and not fall over or fall off? How's it just kind of... And I've tested the theory to say, okay, what would happen if I just kind of gave this a nudge? And I saw, it would move. And we're not talking like a car-sized boulder. We're talking something much smaller. But I checked, and I thought, okay, anything... It wouldn't take much for this to go over. Well, it didn't fall from the sky and land there last week. It wasn't like a Thunderbird egg of granite that landed on the boulder. So I started really looking at things from that perspective of like, okay, there's an earthquake, and what did it really do? And then I realized it wouldn't have done it. I think the shifting of the plates, the shifts underground, have done more than the earthquake as far as the mountains. And we don't even have the thunder in the mountains anymore. So obviously it's in a very, it's either just completely died down or it's in a current state of like sleep state. Because I remember as a kid, you would hear it. You'd hear the booms and stuff in the mountains. And you could feel certain areas. And Randy and I had one, but that one would have been 2005, 2006. It's on video. You can't hear it because the wind was so loud, but we heard it. You can see our reaction to it. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was so cool that we captured it. And then I realized when I got home that the wind on the microphone, on the camera, just, you couldn't tell. You could just tell our reactions, Randy's and my reaction, and we're talking about it, which isn't really very much proof. I mean, So even though it did happen, it's not proof because nobody else could hear it. Remember that Halloween special got revealed the most way? Yeah, well, that happens to them all. Hey, Jorge, I heard theory from a geologist way back because of the dates of the quake. All right. I just go with... Okay, let's see. This is interesting. Christopher Jog Johnson, also known as Fred. I am again. Okay, there you are. Here again. What happened to your show? Okay, well, the short version is we had a really successful season. We were doing about 1.7 to 1.9 million people, which right now Skinwalker Ranch does about 1.4 to 1.6, so we actually had better numbers than even Skinwalker Ranch. Nowhere near Oak Island, which was doing 2.5 to 3 million at the time. We had a good portion of the audience. Season 1 had run. They called us in. We started planning on Season 2. They went to New York to A&E in History to propose it, then pulled back out of the meeting. Then they sent a different group of 2 people with, I don't know what the plan was, and they went in and presented something and then did not try to follow it up because they had a couple other programs. They were pushing them, the Jacksons, the Next Generation, and History Channel got really big behind Billion Dollar Wreck, which was a $1 billion disaster. And they were looking to change up. If you notice at that time, Oak Island was a relatively new show. It was only getting ready to run Season 2. When we filmed, they just ran Season 1. So Season 2 came out just before we came out. We were supposed to be the sister show to that, and they changed it up. And because of certain changes and people at History who decided to leave, who were basically the proponents behind our show, they just kind of weren't sure what to do with us, and we got kind of set to the side. And I can tell you that they told me, be ready in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We might be filming again this summer. We'll film up to 2 to 4 weeks, and then we'll pull that and we'll look at what we're going to do next. And that's what I was told. We were going to try to stage it into 2 filming sessions, anywhere from 8 to 10 episodes, and I had an idea what we discussed, but then I was also told I don't know what they presented and what History Channel's ideas for the show are moving forward. So I ended up kind of in this weird place. I know Frank had contact with someone from the marketing department of History Channel once, but generally as a rule, Frank, Eric, and Woody only dealt with the production company. They really only directly ever dealt with Go-Go Lucky. I had phone calls and had a lot of discussions with people at History Channel and even a couple people at A&E because I did more interviews like Huffington Post and stuff. And I always sought from them, what are you looking for the show? What numbers are you looking for the show? What are you doing? I tried to be positive of like, what do you guys want us? You know, where you want this, what you want to do. And for whatever reason, because of relationships that were beyond my control, everything got less of a chance. And after a year, we had a series of 1-year contracts. So every year there was a contract, but they could basically say first right of refusal. So we couldn't do anything for a certain period of time. Once we were out of the production contract, and I was assured of that, then I just decided to do the YouTube thing. And when I started the YouTube thing, History would bring me in, and there was no... I cleared, made sure, hey, yeah, you can work for Science Channel, you can do this for Discovery. The only caveat was if they needed me for something, they would, and I told them I have no problem. If Discovery wants me to do this and you would like me to come and guest and do this, I will go do your thing first or only, because, you know, they gave me the opportunity. So I had a good relationship and everything. I don't know what happened in the overall thing. A lot of times I get calls from people and they just go, hey, you know, they say nothing but good things about it. Would you like to work on this? And I'll be like, no, you know, and I'll explain. I'm really good about it, but I'll tell them, you know, I want to be picky. I want to do stuff that I feel like I want to do. Unless you're going to pay me a lot of money. If you're going to back up a pickup truck to my house and unload money, then I'll do it.
we'll catch back up to stuff because that's kind of what happened in a nutshell. Or the song "Free Fallin'," maybe over the hills and far away. No, "Over the Hills and Far Away" by Gary Moore. Let's see. Thank you for the information. What was like Chris Rabb as a filmer? Chris was a cool dude, man. I could never. Here's the problem. Chris was like, our main camera, our director of photography was Glenn Lewis Evans, good friend. And then you had, damn it. The second camera was Ian, and then you had Mike. And then the two guys that backed them up were Rab and then Patrick Dupree, who I just recently saw again too. And Rab was difficult, and I just thought of him as Christian, but because every time we were working on something, he's sitting there and he's filming, or I'm dealing with him directly, I'm realizing this is the guy that was hanging out from a tree in his underwear. He was a very, very cool guy. He's in a very different place, a very different headspace today. The guy just smiles. He just smiles and he's happy. And he's in a different place, a different world, a very happy man. Love and respect to the dude. But yeah, Chris was great. I liked working with him. I liked working with all the cameramen. Mike Wonderly I thought was cool too. He operated the drone and did a lot of stuff. He was kind of attached to our producer more tightly. But the team that I got to work with, that generally Ian, Glenn, and Patrick, those guys kind of hung together a lot. I liked working with them. I was my room was right next to Ian's room. He had a hammock, and he'd play classical music and opera and stuff, and I actually liked it. He was a very chill dude too. But yeah, Rab was very cool, nice guy. Stuff we talked about, because some of it was going to eventually be about Jackass and what happened with all them and stuff, is kind of personal and private stuff. But he's in a good place, and he does independent films, does other stuff now. He has a podcast and stuff, and I'm very supportive of him. So, haven't seen him since then, but I've always been supportive of whatever he's doing, because he's an awesome guy. I thought your show awesome, still watch your videos, da-da-da-da. What were your plans for the second season? The second season basically was... we were trying to rein things in that got out of hand with the creative elements. Was one of the big discussions. It was Bill Costanzo and myself. I know Frank had some input, some ideas. We wanted to go with the feel of the original show, but we wanted to make changes. Now the problem is, History and A&E wanted to possibly make changes, and the production company thought about changes. And because you're not quite sure what the changes are, you're not sure. So one of the caveats I went with is I promised the guys, if you want to do the show, I'll do the show another season. But I'll say we all have to be back. It has to be the five of us. And I basically let them know is like, there's no way we can come back for season 2 and someone's missing. No matter what you're doing, there has to be some story through there, and whether we're going to use people on camera more for this or that or something else. So we kind of discussed some things about that. I wasn't sure because I didn't have any creative control other than what I would say or do on camera, but they took input from me. I gave them a lot of source material. I knew it would change as we filmed, and I knew they wanted kind of a little longer vision for the season and a shorter, and I kind of know where that was going. I really wanted to get back up on Black Cross Butte and get things reined back in to where we actually knew there was some gold and there was some very real things to explore, and it just never happened. I don't know. Like I said, I was not in those rooms. I said, if it helps you guys sell this program, no matter what, I will go to New York. I will sit in the room. I will behave myself, but I will come in, bring my hat, and I will sit there and do whatever I can to put a positive impression on this and all for you guys and the boys. And they sent, I can't remember her name now. I always forget her name. I know her name till I'm ready to say it. But I know the two people they were sending, I wasn't as
feeling as strong about it. I know Alex and Bill were going first, I think. Bill Costanzo and Alexandra. And I felt good about them because I'd worked with them on camera more. And I ended up with a pretty good relationship with Bill. Bill's a good guy. And I knew we all wanted the same thing. We wanted to continue, you know, and kind of get this thing kind of straightened out. Because there was a lot of stuff we filmed that just was missing out of the show. So there we go. And long story short, I don't know. I don't know what they were going to run with. It was going to be down at Fish Creek, and some of the stuff you saw from those videos the first season or two we did on YouTube, because that was the stuff I'd already scouted and done and brought pictures in and some personal video, and I'd found some stuff. So